Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Backstage Bikini podcast with your hosts, Grace and Jade. Now, this is a little bit of a pinch me moment. We must say we made a little bit of a bucket list 6 months ago when we started this humble little podcast, and this guest was prime right at the top, who we wanted to get on the podcast. So you must know exactly who we're talking about. She is an IFBB Bikini Pro and your 2022 Miss Bikini Olympia, Maureen Blanquisco.
What introduction.
We
need confetti.
Bucket list. That's a quite introduction. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming on, because we are the Backstage Bikini podcast and you are
I heard about you,
Olympia. So it's like you're like the most ideal person to come on, and that most of our listeners look up to. So it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you and chat about your journey, inspire all of the other bikini athletes that listen to the podcast. But just, I suppose, as an introduction, Maureen, do you want to let everybody know, if they don't know already, your background, where you're from, and what got you into bodybuilding and in particular bikini?
Okay, first, I am born in the Philippines. I'm pure Filipino, but I grew up in Norway. So all my life I live here in Norway. So I'm like half, how my head works is more like savage from the Philippines and more calm like in Norway. So it's like both worlds, I experience it. And I used to compete in swimming back in the Philippines. I was a very competitive swimmer, and I had to move here in Norway because both of my parents works in a rig in a oil company. So they are all both assigned here. So I have to move here, and I had to find something to do. I cannot just sit around, and I love to compete, first of all. So, and I found cheerleading. So I did gymnastics for about 4 or 5 years, and I realized I don't work good with a team. I had to be as an individual athlete. So that time I was like around, I was around 18, back in when you're 18, you start putting makeup, you start arranging, you want to look good. So I always wanted to I wanted to always like compete in a beauty pageant, but I was too short. I was asked before, but I was too short for the height. So I was just like, scrolling in YouTube. What a very, very weird coincidence. I was just scrolling around in YouTube. I was watching Miss Universe. I was watching, all kind of this pageant thing. And like very, very weird, the Mr. Olympia stage bikini was on in YouTube. So I was like, okay, someone is smaller there. I remember India Paulino. India Paulino was like one of my favorite, my idol, like when I started. And she knows that I always tell her that in the backstage. So I saw this Mr. Olympia. I was like, whoa, it looks like kind of like pageant, but a little more muscular, but also there's no height cap. So I was like, okay, I want to go there. I want to go to Mr. Olympia. I didn't even know that I have to get my pro card. I need to, qualify for the Olympia. I just know, or in my head, I was so clear, I'm going to go to Olympia. So everything all started there. I didn't really think about the journey. I wasn't rushing the journey. I was just like going step by step, baby step. I'm very realistic person. I always go to a show where I feel like realistically I could win a show. So everything is more like realistic to me. I wasn't thinking about, I'm going to get the pro card. The first time I'm going to go to compete, I'm going to get the pro card. No, I don't think like this. It's more like baby steps. And eventually, I think that's one of the reasons why I did this for 9 years now. So I've been prepping for 9 years, and I wasn't fooling around. I was just like, I like how to eat clean. I like to eat, some food here and there. But I think that's the reason why I kind of like did it as a lifestyle. It's because I never put pressure on myself. If I can do it, I can do it. If I can, I'll do it. So yeah, that's how I started this fitness journey, pretty much.
Incredible. That's insane. I think the most amazing thing for me about that entire story, Maureen, is that the pinnacle, the very peak of what you could possibly achieve was your goal out of the gate, and quite innocently as well. Like, what what was it about competing in particular that you actually liked the look of? Was it the fact that you could present yourself well? Was it the performing? What part of it was the bit that drew you the most to it?
It has to be the performance.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I always say like, oh, when people ask me, when are you going to compete again? I was like, first of all, it's not competing, it's performance. So I like to perform in front of the people. For me, I think the most exciting moment was the 5 minutes on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey comes with it, but you know, the motivation is always coming from the performance. Like I want to show a performance, like a good performance, not like whatever performance. So I have to prep for that and then give you a show. So I guess the performance is what I really look the most. Like peak week, I hate peak week. I gotta tell you that. Like the water manipulation is my problem, but other than that, I'm good with everything. Yeah.
Amazing. And it sounds that you're doing it for absolutely the right reasons, you know, for the love of it and the journey. And it's not just to go up and beat another person, but for the entire process and the value it brings you. But I suppose going back, it's funny you said you had no idea that, I suppose, the steps that needed to be taken in order to get to the Olympia. Just tracking back, I suppose, to, you know, being an amateur, how did the journey to pro go? Where did it happen? And I suppose, did you kind of realize then what was needed to get to the level that you wanted to be at the Olympia?
At the very beginning, the thing is, I'm one of those athletes that didn't compete a lot, honestly. Like, I think the most time, it was in 2019, that is the most time I actually competed, which is 4 times. It's not even a lot.
Crazy.
So for me, that's the most. I usually just compete twice a year. So my very first show was in Norway, actually. But back in the days, it was the IFBB. So there were no NPC. I'm from Europe, so it's a bunch of federation here. So it all started with that. But for some reason, I went in the right path where the IFBB goes. So that's the only federation. I was talking about it in my post today. That's the only federation that can actually get you to Olympia. So luckily, I just followed my instinct to go this way. So I was like, okay, I go this way. So I did a couple of shows, international shows. I remember someone told me like, oh, if you ever get the pro card, don't take it because you can just conquer the whole amateur in Europe. And I was like thinking, I can't do that because there's a lot of people, like it's really hard to, like, here in Europe, at least in Norway, it's still taboo. Like bodybuilding is still taboo. It's still growing. It's very little athletes here, and I hope actually to encourage more people to join, because it can get really lonely in Olympia. Like I'm sitting there alone. Like I need more like Norwegians athlete.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's like it all started with when I the Norway Open, and I went another international show that was so I did only 2 shows in my first year, and then second year I did my first international show, and I was like, whoa, I really like this. I actually like it because I thought I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I'm tired or whatever. And then I wasn't really aiming for the pro card because I didn't know about the pro card. I was competing like shows and I didn't know about pro card. I just kind of like, oh, I'm winning, yes, and then I remember after I competed in European Championship, I was like, I think I'm done, like it's okay, I probably gonna jump in new sports. I don't know. I was thinking about to go in tennis or something. So I was like, okay, I think I'm done. So I stopped training. I just stopped. Because this is how I am. Like when I'm off season, I'm off season. When I'm on season, I'm on season. Like I just follow whatever I feel. So that time I was so I didn't train. I was eating clean, but I didn't train for maybe like half a year. And then suddenly I came back to Norway. I was in Poland then, and I was like, maybe I should do one more show. Okay, let's do one more show. And then my coach then, her name is Mari. She's Norwegian coach, and I told her, I think I want to go to Italy. I want to compete in Italy. And she's like, oh, great, that show is Olympia Amateur. I'm like, whoa, Olympia, okay, I think that's it. I didn't know it was the Mr. Olympia, the real one. So we went there, and then she was messaging me from home. She was like, girl, there's a pro card. I'm like, what is a pro card? Like, I mean, you turn pro, you can start competing as a pro. I'm like, oh my God, let's do this. But, you know, back in the days in Europe, especially in Europe, there is only one pro card. So it's 7 height limit, and you have to win your category and then go to overall. So I wasn't really like, I was more keen to be there because it was like, whoa, Italy, amateur Olympia, huh? You know, I wasn't really like super focused on the pro card itself. But then, so the prejudging, I looked too hard. I was a little too hard, but I'm like, okay, it's okay. I was just having a blast. And we didn't knew that some shows are 2-day shows. So my first day, I was just depleted. So my whole day, I wasn't eating. I was just like going competing and sitting there waiting for my turn. And I totally didn't eat. And then we forgot that, or we just found out it's gonna be finals the next day. So we're like, oh my God, you didn't eat. You know, you didn't eat. Finals is tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my God, you know. So she just gave me some potato, sweet potato, dolce, you know, like the Italian potato. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But then I end up waking up how they wanted to look for pro, like more depleted. I was like, okay, you know, and I went there and they're just like, oh my God, even like the judges, they're like wondering, how did you do this in the whole night, like one night? I was like, no, I was just depleted. I didn't eat. So yeah, I won my pro card there, and I was like, so, whoa, okay, I think I'm gonna try to compete as a pro. Let's try. So yeah, then I just actually I got some balls to go to New York Pro, my first pro show. I got balls to just I went there to New York. I placed second call out. I was big. Because you know it's American show compared to European show. European athletes are really hard. That's just how it is in Europe. So I went there. I wasn't thinking about anything, just to go to New York. I've never been to New York. So that's my first time in US too. So I'm like, wow, you know, second call out. Oh my gosh, you know, New York Pro. And then I decided to move for with the pro coach. So because you know it's different league right now, and my coach actually was really nice enough to understand that whatever they're looking for in a pro level is different. So I need a pro coach. And then I always just decided to take a break. So I took a break for like a whole year again, like whole fresh year. And then I'm like, and then I competed in Alicante Pro the next year. That's where I got my first qualification for my first Olympia.
And that was 2019, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. What a whirlwind. I think it's so interesting because so many of the athletes that we speak to, even at an amateur level, especially from the UK perspective as well, I think the pro card has become a very popular entity, if you like. It's become arguably a little bit more accessible than it was when you actually achieved your pro card. So I think to hear a process or hear an experience from an athlete that has just won the pinnacle of all shows, to hear that wasn't even a focus for you. Like, have you always enjoyed that process over sort of, has it always been about the process as opposed to actually gunning for a win or a pro card or has that always been sort of an underpinning thing? Because I know you've said that you are quite competitive by nature as well.
So, I mean, I prep to win a show 100%, but for me, I'm a good sports. That's the thing about me. So if I lose and I can see why I lose, like I always ask the judges, like, you know, what happened. I always come to a show where I know I'm ready. I never come into show off. Like I don't want to come to a show and perform and I look off. I think it's just a big disrespect for the federation, especially being a pro. So, but when I know I look good enough and I did my best, I just feel like you know, whatever happens, it is what it is, you know. It's just, for me, it's easier for me to move on, even though as I turned pro and after my first Olympia, that's when things get more serious for me. Because before it was a pro card, and now, okay, I want to win a pro show, which is I did baby step and I win a pro show. To be able to win a pro show, I needed an off season where they told me I needed off season. I took the off season. So I just listened, and then the next after I did my first Olympia, my number one goal then was to place top 5, because I placed 9th then. So I was like, okay, I guess I can do 5th, the next year. But then of course the pandemic happens, so I didn't compete that year, like the whole year. They canceled one of my show. I wasn't bothered at all. I was 3 weeks out. I wasn't even sad. It is what it is. So I'm like, let's go to Donut. Yeah, so my partner and I, we went straight to Donut, and I just decided then, you know what, I'm just gonna wait like 1 year. It's okay. I miss one Olympia. It's fine. Because I don't want to keep prepping and then they keep canceling my show. I mean, my health is in it. My time is in it. So I'd rather just improve for my next season. So that's what I did, which is very smart for me. So my next season then, it was Chicago Pro, I guess, and then Battle of the Bodies. And then I got qualified for that Olympia. And then I was like, after seeing how I changed for that year, I was like, oh, I can actually do 5th. 5th, 6th, I will be happy. For me, the 5th, 6th, it's already like I won. You know what I mean? Just to crack the top 5, I was like, I'm already winning. So when I cracked the top 5, the next goal came along. Like, okay, I want to be top 3. So from top 5 to top 3, that's more like realistic to me. So I never really jump from, if I place 9th, I will jump on, you know what, I can win. No, I don't think like that. I don't want to like pressure myself. I think it's just pressuring yourself, which makes the journey itself just full of pressure. And it's already complicated, okay?
I know.
So let's make this, let's make this journey less complicated.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, removing that pressure, and like it shows clearly. You've always been in the mix year after year, and it's been like you said, that baby steps. But both from the outside looking in, it has always been that kind of upward trajectory. But was there any point in your journey that you faced like a massive setback, maybe mentally, apart from obviously the COVID holding you back from that Olympia? But was there any experience throughout your journey, or maybe things people might have said to you, or maybe you didn't get the support that you needed? I know you said you switched coaches, but there was any, like, I suppose, massive setback that you can remember throughout this time?
Honestly, I don't, because I don't really care. It's funny because when I meet people like my pro friends, even the bodybuilders that I met in the backstage and we have a dinner, they always look at me like this, and they're like, she doesn't give a damn. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm just here, I'm okay,
Yeah.
So I have step backs for sure back then, like when you look good already 4 days out and you come into a show like flat. I mean, even though I won those shows, I know I could look better. But there's always a time like I never come in where I wanted to come in, and that's very, very frustrating for me, because I'm like, I wake up in the morning, show day, I'm like, please, please, I know how I can look. And then of course I wake up flat and I'm like, and of course the commenter, people are commenting. I listen to them for constructive criticism, but I can separate that apart from my hate, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I breathe hate. You know what I mean? Like I'm a social media influencer, like right now. I breathe in it. So for me, whatever other people say is like, it's just your opinion. Like I cannot really change your opinion than my opinion myself. So for me, after I won the Olympia, there's so many, like, I mean, actually, I didn't see the comments. Someone sent me the comments. My boyfriend and I were laughing our ass off because because there were like comments there like, oh, how much did she pay for her to win? I'm like, I wish I have that kind of money. What
Wait, you can pay?
Yeah,
Pay?
someone like messaged in the comments like, how much did she pay the federation for her to win? I was like, we were laughing, and I was like, I wish I had that type of money, because girl, I work so hard, you know. So like those type of hate comments is just, oh shit. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we've still got you.
Okay, because my computer turned off. Give me a
Oh my God, it's okay.
It's okay. We can cut it out.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Like, where did you go?
So yeah, for me, there's really no step back. It's just, I'm just here, happy to be here.
I think we could all take a little piece out of that book.
A leaf out. Do you think it's part of your background, Maureen? Because I know you were born in the Philippines, and you mentioned, you actually said that like it was a savage sort of
Tough love, baby.
Yeah.
There's no sensitive there. No.
Do you think that background helped you like sort of dissociate and sort of protect yourself from things like that? Because I know many athletes, I think because of the social media presence now more than ever, we are really exposed to it. People want to share their journeys, but obviously you open yourself up to criticism, especially at the top level. Everybody wants to know what you're doing. So do you think part and parcel of that upbringing has protected you in somewhat from that?
100%. I actually glad. Well, I have deeper stories when I was younger. I grew up alone. Like I have a big sister, so I had a little brother. He was probably 3 that time, and I was just 10, and my big sister was 11. We were living alone in the Philippines, like alone, because my parents already moved. My grandmother passed away, so it's just us, live to us. So we were budgeting all our money by month. We were street kids. We were in the street, literally. So if you were 10 and raising up a 3-year-old baby who doesn't even, it's a baby talk, he's still baby talk, I remember. Nothing really shakes you. Because I mean, it's like, for me, there's really no sensitivity, just my skin, maybe. But I mean, there's no space for sensitivity. And whenever people try to criticize me, I can really see, I feel bad for them, because I can see it's more like the envy feeling rather than actually hate me, because nobody really knows me. So for me, when I see someone criticize me, I'm like, I just feel sorry for you, because you don't really know me as a person. And for you to feel like that, I'm sorry, you know? So yeah, 100%, like, it's from the Philippines for sure. Because when I came here to Norway, I was already 14. It melts me. That's why I can be sensitive and I can be insensitive if I want to. So I think it's a plus.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the kind of skin you need, I suppose, for
You need.
competing, really,
For
because
sure.
the days are going to be very, very tough. And I can only imagine, the level you're at and the amount of eyes watching you, that it's tenfold. But just come back to your family, like, were your families always quite supportive of your competing? Did they understand it? Because I know for me, I find it quite difficult. Everybody is different with their families, but I feel like there's definitely obviously a correlation between how well people do and the belief that their maybe parents had on them. But were they always kind of with you throughout the whole journey and supportive of that?
Well, since I grew up alone, so they pretty much saw that I was okay. Like I will, whatever I decided, I'm gonna be okay no matter what. So what I did when I was in college, I was like in college when I started training for this. So I was like thinking, okay, if I graduated this line and just graduated for them, so I have something to fall back into. And second, my family will be happy, because my family is family from coming from medicine or engineer. So it's like, of course, it's Asian family, you have to be either in medicine or engineering. So for me, it's a pressure. They were not pressuring me, but my morals is like really about family. I was really close to my family, and I saw my sister graduate in medicine, my brother as an engineer. So I feel like I gotta just at least graduated that. So I graduated as a dermatologist. So after I graduated, then I'm free to do whatever I want, which I did. So for them, they don't know actually exactly what I'm doing. They just see my post, and they're very, very, very supportive. But you know, when we go out before, they see me like in a Tupperware, they're laughing and they're like, you know, oh my gosh, this is weird, you know. But they never really stop me, like ever. They just always very, very supportive, and they're like, whatever you do it, you know. Like I actually want to bring them this year's Olympia because they never seen me competing. So I
I was
want
just
them,
gonna ask.
right? I want them to see like what's up, you know, like what's going on there, because they had no idea. So no, they're always been supportive. I mean, we always support each other. Like nobody gets into each other's business, because we know that at the end of the day, we always decide what's best for us and what's smart thing to do. They know I will not. I don't really fool around. Like since I was a kid, I was a really like I was a home kid. Like I'm more like taking care of my brother, my sister, because I grew up like that. So yeah, I don't even party. You know, at home.
Yeah.
I don't even.
I know. I always say that as well. I was like to my parents, I could have gone down a totally different route.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
Thank you, fitness. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Amazing.
100%. So in terms of like going back a little bit again, Maureen, like we spoke about sort of the way that the European scene is sort of structured, especially at the amateur level, but even more so now you've turned pro, you come against athletes of all different sizes, and we're very much the same in the UK. We have the individual height classes. You've got to win your height class, and then you've got to go into the overall in order to even like position yourself for a pro card. From your perspective, and we're diverting a little bit, but in terms of your height, I know that you're a particularly short athlete, and shorties, you did incredible.
Thank you.
And there was a huge hype around not only your win, but the fact that you represented girls that are slightly shorter. Have you ever found that to be an obstacle? Has it ever bothered you? Have you ever thought that you are disadvantaged in any way, shape or form in competing? Obviously, I know that it affected your pageant days or your pageant decisions. But has it ever crossed your mind? Has it ever concerned you ever?
In competing, actually, no, it never crossed my mind. Like the moment I saw the video, I was like, okay, she's short. I can definitely look. For me, as long as I can come into the show, I don't care if I'm short, tall, you know, I really don't mind, as long as I just present my physique as I wanted to present it. Because sometimes when I go ask the judges, right, I ask them like what to work out, what to work on. But even though I ask them, I already know what to work on. So for me, I always just want to come as how I look the best, but also following the criteria, which is symmetrical, you know, toned, but not separation. I always follow that, at least that foundation, but I always want to go to a show where I think I look the best. So I don't follow fully. So for me, I never had a chance to think about my height. And I actually was thinking, I like to challenge myself where, okay, I'm the shortest. Imagine if I won. You know, I like the challenge like this. So if I won, I already wearing pink bikini, the shortest, an Asian. I think I went really against the odds. Like for me, if I win like that, yeah, I'm gonna clap for myself, you know. So for me, it never really bothered me. Like being short is the best thing that could happen to me. Okay, like I can go hide in the fridge and I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like being short is good. Okay, it's not always a bad thing.
It's amazing. And I think that's the thing. It was so lovely as well to see at the Olympia, the diversity. I think that's something that me and Grace have spoken about to other guests, and just in general, I think the bikini division itself feels more inclusive now than ever, especially for that exact purpose. The reason you found it all together was that there wasn't any height restrictions. There wasn't any restrictions on entry, really. It's about bringing your version of the criteria to the stage. And going back to the Olympia, I know you ask for feedback quite frequently. Was there any feedback from the Olympia, and especially the Arnold that followed 10 weeks after? Was there any specific feedback that you'll be sort of taking into the next year?
For the Olympia, I definitely had to come like how I came in the finals.
Okay.
So that was like always, it's not a struggle, but it could always be better. So I always come in like great in the finals because I had more food, I had more rest. And for the Arnolds, I know exactly what happened there. I didn't ask for the feedback. I know exactly what happened. So I got a stomach infection that time when I was prepping for the Arnold. I never really post about this because I think it's like stupid excuses, you know what I mean? So I was already thinking like, should I go to Arnold's or just prep through it? So I'm like, I just prep through it and let's see where it goes. So I couldn't use the restroom for like 4 days, and my intestine was just stuck. I didn't even notice that I wasn't going to the restroom. So I was just like prepping. I was getting like, so I went high carb, low carb, no carb, no, just protein. I did everything I could think of, and I'm still holding the water. So me and my coach, we couldn't understand what's going on. So it's that one. It's my stomach is like something is stuck in my stomach. So on my birthday, the 23rd 3rd of February, I managed to just like chill, just like talk. I was thinking that time, I was like, it is what it is. It is what it, like I'm 2 weeks out and I'm holding water. I mean, it is what it is. What can I do? Thank you, my body, for holding on of me, because it's like, I know it's hard, but
Yeah.
I know you're trying really hard to work it out, and I know you can't. So I let you go. You're fine, So I stopped stressing that day. And after I stopped stressing, I just do my thing. 1 week before the show, my body started responding. So I missed at least 2 weeks of getting drier.
Right.
So for me, like, it was sad because I would love to get the Miss International title. It was really sad, but it's second place. I mean, I placed second the first, second is fine. As long as I don't go down to third, fourth, fifth, I'm happy with second place, honestly. And there were no feedbacks. Like, I didn't really ask, but I spoke in one of like the veterans and Olympians, and she said, just come in exactly how you look in the finals to Olympia, and you're great to go.
Amazing.
So yeah.
And obviously throughout that period of time, I'd say you struggled a little bit mentally, and then you said you kind of just stopped stressing. But has there been any periods of time throughout different preps where you've been met with maybe that kind of barrier of maybe self-doubt, or will you come in on time, or have you always kind of been on track to become your best?
I'm always on track. That's the thing. Like, I've learned my lesson in my first ever prep. Okay. I don't want to do cardio like that. I don't want to go low carb like that. So I learned my lesson from then. So every time I do an off season, I don't really go above, I don't know, 6 kilo. I'm like, right now, I'm 6 kilo away from my stage weight. So I'm like just cruising. I need probably like maybe a good 19 weeks out, or 16, even 15. I don't know. But I still rather prep longer. I like to prep longer, like really slow. But yeah, no, I just feel like it's just like that for me. It's there were no pressure, nothing. It's just
Yeah.
the
way of doing it. And I suppose after achieving the pinnacle of bodybuilding last year, Miss Bikini Olympia, like, since then, have you felt a little bit different about going into shows, because you've reached the top now? Is there a little bit of extra pressure or self-doubt, or are you kind of taking the same mindset that you have throughout your whole journey into this year as well?
Yeah, that question is so famous because it's like, I get that question a lot, actually. Surprisingly, I'm more relaxed than ever, but that was my only goal. I reached my goal. So when you reach your goal, what you gonna do? For me, if I play second or third, for me, it's like, but at the end of the day, like, in the history, I'm Miss Olympia. Like, what can I do? I can call myself Miss Olympia, and I am forever qualified. So for me, once I got my goal, now I can actually have fun, like really, really fun. But of course, it's still the same hard work. I think that's one of the good thing too. When people ask me after you won the Olympia, what do you feel? How does it feel? Honestly, it doesn't get into me. It's hard. I mean, it's sad for me because I would love to enjoy it. Like, yes, but it's harder for me to enjoy it. It's hard for me to actually grasp on it that I actually won the Olympia. Sometimes I forget about it. I remember like a couple of days after the Olympia, there's my medal was beside my bed, and I was like, "Oh my god, I won the Olympia, babe!" I was like, I totally forgot. So I think that's a good thing because it's the same hustle, right? For me, I feel like, okay, let's do it again. Let's prep again. That's just how I feel. I guess it's like I said, I don't like I love that they chose me because honestly, it's humanly impossible for me to be that dry. That's the driest I can be. So for me to be chosen toned is like, whoa, thank you, judges, because that's it. Like I cannot get drier than this. So for me, and it's actually really good too, for other women, like they feel like it's getting really hard now, like the shape.
Yeah.
So and not everybody can get that hard. So it gave them chance to actually feel like, oh my God, I can actually make it to Olympia. That's a very good feeling because at the very beginning I was like, oh, why can I get that hard? So it's like I'll just do my best.
Well, it's confirmation, isn't it, as well? Like after this was your goal coming out of the gate, and I think it's confirmation that you've actually achieved that. You've acquired what they were looking for on your body, and like we say, it's always individual in that respect. But you've spoken there about things that you enjoyed about sort of becoming Miss Olympia. What is the most well, not even entertaining, what's the best thing about it for you? What opportunities has it presented for you being Miss Bikini Olympia this year that has given you something that you really wanted to do outside of actually winning that title? Is there something that you particularly really enjoy about having that title under your belt now?
It's really fun to be called Miss Olympia. That's for sure.
I can imagine so. Maybe it'll be me someday.
Yeah, you never know, girl. You never know. You'll be better. You have to be better with your wishes, okay?
Yes.
You never know. Actually, you never know. But yeah, it's great it feels like I'm like shy. I get very shy when I call Olympia. I'm like, me?
Little me.
Especially like after competing and cracking the top 5. For me, after I cracked the top 5, just by being known from other with the other girls from around the world, it's like, whoa, they come to me and they're like, can I take a picture of you? I'm like, what? Are you want to take a picture of me? Like, I'm like, me? Like sometimes I like look like this because I don't want them to go close because I'm like shy.
I'm gonna
I get very, very shy, but not because I don't want to take a picture with them. It's more like I'm still not used to it. I still feel like, oh my God, it's like, for me, that's one of the best feeling where also the shorties, they all come and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I have chance now. That feeling is like, whoa, like, girl, you just don't know. You just have to work and just do your thing and you eventually just get there. And also like, just to see the journey that I did, 9 years. 9 years is a pretty long year. If I did medicine in 9 years, I'll be probably like the best doctor in the world, if you know what I mean. So 9 years is an investment. Like I really invested my 9 years there. I so many birthday parties, so many vacation that it's canceled, but it's so worth it just to see the podium. It says I'm the 10th Miss Olympia. I think it's like, wow, that's like one of my life goal. Now I'm on to the next one. So it could be like, I don't know, anything. It could be like a business or a family. Now I'm like happy with that. If I place good next year, like this year, the next Olympia, if I won again, thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful. But if not, I already achieved my goal. So I'm just gonna be happy as long as I can step the real stage, which is the final stage, right? It's only top 10 who can step there. So for me, just to step there, I'm like, I'm good for life,
Yeah, it's incredible. Like you've dedicated a massive chunk of your life to this sport, and I think, like Jade said earlier, there's so many pro cards given at the moment and everybody's chasing pro status and the opportunities are there, but it's also gives people that idea that they can get there very, very fast, and they forget that, this is a journey and some people are doing it for, their entire 20s, I'm sure. And it makes that win all the more sweeter knowing that you've worked so incredibly hard for it. But like 9 years is a long period of time. And I think maybe some people are listening, they're like, I couldn't imagine dedicating 9 years of my life to competing. But have you ever struggled to find the balance between competing and just like normal life. Obviously you're back in Norway right now, and it looks like you're enjoying yourself incredibly. And I suppose just like even post Olympia, like, are you able to switch off and be just Maureen, the normal human that enjoys life, or do you tend to kind of make competing a priority all the time and stick to your meal plan, all that stuff?
That's what I was telling you at the very beginning. When I'm off, I'm off. When I'm on and on, as long as I'm not overeating. I love to eat rice. Okay, as you know, I'm Asian, so I'm eating rice morning, lunch, and dinner. So for me, as long as I'm on point with my meals plus whatever I want to eat, everything is good. And right now, I'm training. Okay, 4 days ago, I started training. Like, I started at least training 5 to 6 times a week, right? But all this month, like 2 months, I think, after the Arnold's, 3 to 4 months, I was just training 3 times a week. Especially sometimes I only train once a week. So when I'm off season, I just do what I feel doing. And as long as I'm on point with my meals, you're fine. But if I know I'm gonna be like cheating, I have to make sure I get like a leg session, for example. I think it's just a balance. Like that is my balance. So I've been doing this for 9 years. So within 9 years, you're gonna know what will best for you for sure. There's no way you cannot learn this. It just you see like year after year what's the best for your body, what works better. For me, I don't want to be burnout. I like the feeling of being in love with this journey. So I don't want to mess it up by being so strict, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I can see with a lot of they struggle with like they get burnout, they get cravings. Oh my God, because you're too strict. Don't be too strict with yourself. Because when I'm prepping for a show, I do as long as I did my cardio, prep my meal and go to gym. As long as I did that, I still have in between. So in betweens, I went out, like I went hang out with my friends almost every day. Actually, we just sit at home, we go to the beach. It almost feels like I'm not prepping. There's a time where I was enjoying it so much that I feel like I'm not prepping, even though I'm prepping. So I was asking my partner, do I look okay? Because I don't know if I'm doing my best, but you're doing your best. You're just having fun.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like that with me. So you really have to learn to just squeeze everything in: diet, gym, cardio. After that, you can do whatever you want. Like if you're not tired, do whatever you want. Like you don't just be home and lay down because nothing is gonna change. In fact, if you go out more, walk more, you're gonna get more leaner. The more you move, the more you get tighter. So that's how I think. And so you don't burn out. The journey
Yeah.
is so beautiful. Don't burn out.
Yeah, I love that. And we talk about relationships all the time and being able to water them even on a prep. And it's like you don't need to cut yourself off for that period of time, and like you said, it makes the journey so much nicer. But I suppose going back to your training now, how have you found that has differed over the years, and given the fact that your feedback isn't to necessarily grow much more, how are you approaching your training at the moment? And even in your off season, like you said, like you're not putting too much pressure on yourself. Does that change in a prep scenario?
So I always follow my body. So the last couple of weeks I was just training like medium weight, for example. But for me, when I prep and off season, I only do 4 max 5 exercise. I don't go more than that. I feel like it works better for me. So it's just like the same. It's for me. It's the same workout. I train really hard as a bikini. I train really hard and a little heavier than how my body used to. But off season is like it really depends on how I feel. If I'm sore that day, I won't train that day. Like I really, really just follow. I think that's the beauty of it. If you could follow how your body feels, if you can separate the laziness and you're really tired, that's the best thing to do. Separate both of them. Really, really acknowledge, are you lazy or you just don't want to train or you're really, really sore? I think that's the best way. But of course, on prep, I train 6 times a week, no matter what. So if you're gonna train 6 times a week, you're gonna make sure you have enough sleep, you have naps in between. I'm a huge fan of naps, guys. So you better take a nap because you needed it.
That's the key to becoming Miss Bikini Olympia,
That's the key.
guys.
The naps.
Take your naps.
I praise a lot with these naps. Even one, I take a nap like, girl, like 4 hours.
Everybody's taking down their notes. Everything we're in is saying, okay, I'm on it.
Naps. Listen to your body. Don't be lazy.
Yes. So yeah, it works out for me. It's probably gonna work out with you guys too. Oh, you know, the same body, bike is the same. So yeah, no change. It's just the same. Feel your body. Don't pressure your body so much. Poor body. This is your only home.
Absolutely. And you learn that so much over the years, in becoming experienced, and the people that you surround yourself with, I'm sure over in the States, they're all very, very supportive, and you learn so much. But going back to your stage race, it's something I always find quite interesting, is the kind of variances between amateurs and pros, and how close you kind of stay close to your stage weight as well. Was there ever a period of time where you did have to kind of gain a significant amount of weight to make the progress? Because I know with myself and Jade, we've kind of gone through that similar, where we've had to kind of push body weight up fairly high for the demands of our training. But we've learned from that it can be hard to kind of pull back down. So we're constantly learning. But have you ever kind of gone through that yourself, where you had to push up quite heavily? And did you ever get uncomfortable?
Very uncomfortable. Well, the thing is, so my first ever prep, like without me even competing before, my first ever prep, I knew I need to build something. So I think that is the only off season I actually did. I did it right for the very moment I decided to compete in fitness. That's why I always tell to some interviews, like, what can you give other women? Like, give some tips, or, I always say, know first what you want to do. Do you want to just compete for experience, or you want to compete because you want to do really good? If you can identify this and be sure of what you want, it's so much easier. For me, I'm like, I want to do really good. Like, I'm going to probably do this as long as I want, or as long as I can. Okay. So to be able to do really good. So for me, the first ever show, it has to make a huge impact towards you. You cannot just show up and look okay and think you're gonna go up really quick. So what I realized, that if I come in amazing as how I can show in my first ever show, it's gonna be easier for me to go way up how I wanted to go. So I actually did like a heavy off season. Like, so my first weight before, I think I was 47 kilogram. I went up to 65
Impressive.
kilogram. Like, I couldn't breathe. Like, I go in the stairs, I couldn't breathe. And one of my plan was to do plyometrics. It's no way I can jump the jump box. I couldn't breathe, girl. It's like when I sleep too, I snore so loud too, because I was so good. You guys probably know what I'm talking about.
Open bodybuilder.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
She needs a CPAP machine.
And the way I eat is like, I mean, I wish I can eat like that, because I'm a huge eater too. I can eat. I want to go to a contest, actually, to eating contest. I want to do that. I think I'm gonna post. I will. We've been talking.
Please, YouTube. Yeah. Record it, all of it.
So yeah, when I was doing that off season, I was eating 100 gram of fries. No, I mean 200 gram of fries each meal, raw. I'm talking about raw, not cooked. I'm talking about raw. And then 100 gram of strawberry on the side. So those are my carbs in each meal. Of course, I'm gonna gain so much. Like, who's not going to gain with that? So yeah, when I couldn't do it anymore, I think I did that for maybe 4 months. The funny part is that I wasn't feeling insecure at all. I wasn't feeling unconfident. That's the crazy part, because I could only imagine if I do it now, because I've never been that heavy for, like, I don't know, 8 years right now. I couldn't just imagine how the brain will, like, really mess you up, because you've been in a very good, really lean, like, in, ever, and then suddenly go up to that weight. I don't know what kind of, like, mental issue I would get if I do that now,
Yeah.
for sure. But that time I was just like thinking, I want to do really good. It is what it is. I was just okay with me being 65 kilo, which is really heavy for me. I couldn't, nothing fits. It's crazy. So yeah, my priorities that time was just to do really good. So for me, for those girls who wants to compete and do really good, I really recommend not how I did it, but at least a good off season at the very beginning. So then you have a great foundation. And the way I train then, I train like, I really focus on the basic, really, really basic. I didn't know what hip thrust before. Like I got to know hip thrust for like, I think in my second Olympia, I started training hip thrust because I didn't know what hip thrust before. I didn't train kickbacks before. All that I did is compound, but in a correct form.
Okay.
So I was training like strongman for like years.
Okay. That's so interesting. I was actually in a very similar boat to you. Like I would do a lot of deadlifting and heavy squats and stuff like that. And it's literally, I feel maybe only in recent years it's kind of come out that it's like hip thrusts and kickbacks are like the way forward. But it's amazing how far you got, with your physique, just focusing on the compounds as well.
Because that's how you grow, girl. I mean, you're gonna grow your isolated workout for sure. You're gonna grow, no doubt. I'm like a huge fan of isolation, like hip thrust. But if you really wanna grow some gains, you gotta go compound. That's the only.
Completely
amazing.
Girl after my own heart.
Yeah, it's not every day you hear those at the very, very top saying that. We have conversations on the podcast a lot about this. The kind of differential training ideas between the States and in Europe, and Jade and I come from a background of very, very heavy lifting, and we're kind of gearing more towards the American style of training, which is, well, I am anyway, that higher rep kind of glute pumpy work as well. So it's very, very interesting you say that, but I'm like taking it down on my notes again.
No, girl, honestly,
Marine squats and deadlifts.
I wish I knew this. Like I wish I knew what I knew now before, and I have no problem sharing it. It's like this is like one of the funny stories because I messaged one of the pros before when I started competing as a pro. I messaged them, but they don't reply me. I'm not gonna say names, but I messaged them like, what can I do? Like I would love to get a tips from you because you look really good and stuff. They never really reply me. So if like right now I'm in the position where I know now what works the best, I think you mix them both, which is compound and isolation.
Yeah.
You can do high reps, low reps, but the only way to tear the muscle is to go heavy.
Yeah.
Compound movements, heavy hip thrust. That's the only way, tear the muscle, eat nutrients, recovery, and you grow muscle. That's just, it's just a very basic mechanism, and just like that. So I wish I knew that before. And I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question, actually. Sorry, Grace. That was going to be my question. It's interesting because it's very few and far between. I know I've spoken quite openly about when I got into competing initially, I wasn't prepared from a sort of physiological standpoint. I knew kind of what was going to be involved, but it was very much like out of the gate. I was throwing myself into a fire pit and just give it a go and give it a whirl. And I think from the very beginning, Maureen, you sound like you've been so intentional with your decision making, with what you want to try and achieve out of this sport. So it's interesting. Is there anything that you wish you knew aside from the training element? Is there anything that you wish you knew back then, or perhaps that you wish that you could do differently? Or are you quite satisfied with the way things played out?
I wish I'm just so lucky enough to do the shows that fits my physique.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it matters, but some, that's just how it is. Some judges prefer hard, some judges prefer this. So you need to find a judge that, the judge panel that would like your look. I didn't know that, but it just happened that I went that way, like luckily. But other than that, I will not change anything on what I did. Honestly, like, I think if I didn't go through what I did or whatever, I don't think I can win the title. Yeah. For example, I was so living in the Philippines alone. We didn't have parents. We were just like being street kids. At the very beginning, I was like, oh, that sucks. It would nice to have parents. But I think if I didn't like experience that, I think I would be very sensitive right now. And I
Mhm.
think it will actually affect me big time for my next Olympia if I was sensitive like that. So
Yeah.
anything that happened, I think it's supposed to be there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets. Like I said, I don't really care. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm happy.
Love that. Love
It's
that.
amazing.
And now that obviously you are Miss Bikini Olympia, what does the future look like for you, I suppose, in terms of short term? Obviously, we're rooting for you for 2023, but I suppose beyond that, what maybe even life after competing, like what does that maybe potentially look like for Maureen, and maybe your passions outside of bodybuilding? What would you hope to do?
So for this year, actually, I have a huge plan for this year. I was supposed to be traveling around, like around at least the Philippines, for the competitors to teach them seminars to South Africa. I have these plans. It just everything was set aside because of my papers. That's why I'm here. So if I could win Miss Olympia this year, that would be great again to go around as a Miss Olympia. But if not, I'm still thinking on doing seminars. Like I've always, actually, I only did one seminar ever. No, two now. Actually, my first ever was Arizona with a women empowering seminar. So I really enjoyed it. It's crazy that I was too focused on my journey that I when I talk to girls who just starting, I can see their eyes. I can see the fire in their eyes, and it's amazing to see because I was there before. I'm still driven, but that type of drive is like oof, that's like spice. They're all just so excited. So just to see that is like I wish I have me. I wish I have myself to tell me what I'm about to tell these girls. I
Yeah.
always wanted to have a mentor like what I've been through. I wanted to share that without even getting paid or without even like they have to. If someone messaged me, I'll say it straight up. You have to do this. Is what I did. If you can try this, I don't know if it's gonna work for you, but it worked for me. And try this. I will never hide something that I think it could actually benefit you, because I always wanted to have someone like me. So for me, my goal, my long-term goal is to go around like the world at least to have a small seminars, to share here and there. I would really love that.
Amazing.
Safe to say they're not going to be small.
No, and you're more than
They will
welcome
not
to
be
come to
small.
the UK.
I hope
You're
not.
more than welcome over here anytime. We'll welcome you with open arms.
I'm probably gonna go there. I have
Yeah.
Amazing.
That would be incredible.
Thank
No,
you.
it's just insane. I mean, from a obviously long-term goal standpoint, Maureen, and will prep be starting soon for the Olympia? Is that something that is around the corner? Because I know you've said that it's going to be a bit of a long, or you prefer a long prep. So is that due to start soon?
Really soon.
Oh.
No, I mean, I don't. It's not a secret. So after I get my paper here. I'm probably gonna get my paper next week, actually. So once I get that, I'm gonna go head straight to Spain because my coach Francisco Espin is from there. What's funny about this coach is that I beg this coach. I beg this coach to coach. He doesn't prep ladies like bikini girls. I'm the only bikini girl he has actually. He's my partner's coach. Most of my friends' coach, like Rodrigue Chesner, as a men's physique, and many more. Most of them are men. So to have him, I actually really begged him. He worked with me for 8 months from Boston Pro to Olympia. I really love to work with this guy because he did it manually with me. It wasn't like here is the your food intake and I'll see you in 2 weeks. It wasn't like that. As I get closer to the show, it's more like every second day, every second day, every second. We train, we train, we change. And yeah, and he get really know my body so good. So I felt very calm to work with him. Prepping is already stress.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have that kind of complication. So I'm actually going to go to him hopefully at the end of next week. So we're just going to start the blood test, the body check, hormonal check, and we're ready to go.
Oh,
Amazing.
exciting.
Very, very exciting. Incredible stuff. We're really rooting for you, and we can't wait to witness the prep this year and see the improvements that you've made.
Yeah,
And
I need
I
to
think
get better on YouTube.
Yeah.
I need to get better on posting.
I know,
Sorry,
but look,
guys,
the
whoever
podcast is
watching this, I'm sorry.
the podcast is a start, you know, and we've opened up this conversation now, and you know, we'd love to see you on YouTube as well. But it gave the listeners a really, really good insight into it. So thank you so much. But before we wrap up this podcast, I just want to ask, what would be your biggest piece of advice to the bikini athletes listening who are looking to pursue bodybuilding and I suppose pursue it at the highest level like you have as well? What would your biggest piece of advice be?
So first, like I said, identify first, do you want to do this long term, or you just want to do this just for the experience? So identify that, really see it in yourself. It's no joke, you know, like maybe you just sit there, whatever. No, this is really no joke, because you're playing with your body here. Because just by going in deficit, it's already really dangerous for a woman. We have estrogen, you know, we have hormonal, like that's just how it is. So make sure you really want to go full on, or you're just for fun, so that if you go full on, you are prepared exactly how you're gonna do it. Are you gonna just jump in a 4 month show, 4 months prep, or you're gonna go off season right away? So make sure you really identify these two. And second, find a good coach. So find a coach that really knows what's going on and what the judges are looking for. Because that was my mistake before. I got a coach from the gym, like a PT, personal trainer.
I did that.
Yeah,
I
think everybody started that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand if you're really new to this and there's no team around your city. There's no problem on working on coaches through online. You know, I can actually recommend this. Like, find a great coach online. Check their athletes. Are they all coming in condition? Because the condition part is the hardest thing to get. You can build your body, but the condition is a little more complicated. So find a coach that has most of the athlete condition. Then it's very good for you. And then third, you have to have fun, because the time goes like this. It's gonna be hard to actually enjoy the process, because you're just thinking about the deadline. You're just thinking about the stage and the show day. But to think about it, the prep is pretty dope. Seeing your body change, take a lot of pictures, because it's gonna go like this.
Yeah,
I'm still
Take them
using my
all.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take all the
Go
pictures.
back all the way.
It's like a
Girl,
year
me too.
now.
You're fine. You're fine. You're not alone.
It's good to know that Miss Bikini Olympia is on the same
Me
page.
too. Hey.
Use those ad pictures for as long as you wish.
Yes. Yes. Just put them like here, like, like far from each other.
And don't look at them too much.
No. No, I mean, yeah. And also, you have to also be okay of your off-season body. You really have,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
most of the year you're in off-season, to think about it. So yeah, you cannot be like blinded by that, because it's humanly impossible for women, at least, to be in that shape for such a long time. It's bad.
Yeah.
And just be consistent and stay persistent. Really, like, I think this is the hardest sports out there to think about it, because this is a 27 sports. It's not like when you're having a bad day, you know what, I'll just go home and have a cookie, have a wine. No, because you're still on prep, so
Yeah.
be proud. Like, you should once you go through that prep, you actually have to be really proud, whatever outcome happened, because you actually finished it. I know a lot of girls who didn't even made it to at least 2 months, because it was really hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for you to finish that, you have to like just stop yourself, because that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing advice. Really, really good advice. Amazing
really
to hear
is.
from you as well.
Thank
Just
you.
reiterating it. Thank you so
Very
much.
sincere. Thank you so much, Maureen. So before we wrap up, is there anywhere that our listeners can find you? I'd be really surprised if they haven't already followed your social media, but where can we keep up with your journey?
Okay, guys.
Where can we find you?
Thank you for letting me say this. I don't even know, like, so I only do like Instagram, which is Maureen Blanquisco.pro, and I have my YouTube channel too. I just started. I try my best to like post video once a week. So it's Maureen Blanquisco. You'll see it right away. And TikTok, that's all I do for now. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for your time, Maureen.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.